Welcome back, my beautiful pupils. And if you're new here, hi, I'm Oliver. Nice to meet you. So nice to see all your faces. Hello, welcome to Fluffy Flamingos. Today, we're going to be learning a magic trick. Not unusual on this channel, but we are in the hard segment. We're doing one of the hardest tutorials in Fluffy Flamingos history. If you're new here, don't leave just yet. This trick is also the easiest trick I've ever learned. Everyone can learn this trick in under 5 minutes. You might be asking yourself, Ollie, I thought you said we were going to do only harder and harder tricks from now on. Forever, till the channel's over. To that I would say, correctamundo. This is the hardest tutorial that we're going to do together, I think. I think this is going to be the hardest. Next episode will actually be kind of like a part 2 or like an ending to this episode. What I mean when I'm talking about easiest and hardest, this trick, mechanically speaking, anyone can do it. It's extremely easy. You can learn the moves and the orientation of how the trick presents itself fairly quickly. Like, it's not hard whatsoever. The hard part is that this trick mostly relies on lying and faking it until you make it. It's all about acting. We've been talking about this topic more and more. We've already covered impromptu stuff with our mini-series. We've talked about card to impossible locations in various plots. We've talked about essential sleights that you're going to need, like the Gambler's Cop or the Cherry Control. Things that are just going to help you become a better magician, but also up your game a little bit. Now we're on our acting topic, which I think, as a magician, is the hardest topic for people to learn or understand or grasp fully. So I'm going to try my absolute hardest to make this tutorial work to the best. I don't know. I lost my train of thought. I think that's the end of the sentence. So for this tutorial, I tried so hard to find spectators for this trick. I wanted so badly to show you guys an audience, like a large audience, and show you guys what it looks like doing this trick in person. What are the actual actions and, you know, things you might want to mimic or learn or just study in general. I failed. I really tried, guys. That's why this video is 2 weeks late, and that's why we're having 3 videos come out at once this weekend. We're gonna die. When everything fell through, I decided I just need to cowboy up and just do the tutorial without that reference in mind. So I do apologize in advance. We're gonna have no performance section for this trick, but we are gonna blend performance into the tutorial and kind of show you guys as we teach what that is for and how to use that to your advantage. That's right, guys, you got homework. When this video's done, you gotta start talking to people, okay? You gotta work on your acting performance and your believability. I mean, one leads into the other, but you gotta make sure, like when you're doing any trick, that whatever your role is for that story, that you're playing it to a T. So for example, in my slop tutorial a long time ago, I taught you guys how to do a specific trick, but it revolved around this story about me living in New York. No one else is going to have the story. This is my story that I made for my show. And so I kind of just tell a story and have people role play and reenact this memory that I have. So that's one way you can script yourself, and that one is like a really easy copy paste, because you're revolving it around a story that you should already know really well. Pick a memory of yours, stick it to a trick, and find a way to adapt it to that effect, and then go out and tell that story. Have people role play this memory with you, and that way, you know, you can have fun and kind of like keep it casual too. You're not straining yourself too hard with what trick you have to do and what the story is behind it. You should know it by heart. So that would be a really good tip, I think, if you guys are interested in exploring the real world and trying to get that acting practice that we're talking about. So I think this will excite you guys, but today's tutorial is a mentalism effect. We're gonna be reading some minds out here. I'm so excited. I absolutely love mentalism. It's one of the coolest topics in magic, and it is something that I know so little about. With the minimal stuff I've done on this channel about mentalism, that's kind of like my capping point. This is the perfect training wheels trick. You get to learn the easiest trick using cards, and then you get to act the rest of the time. So wonderful. For today's tutorial / performance mix-in, we're going to be using the Hyper Neon playing cards. We're going to be doing a point of view for this because, well, you'll see in a sec. Alrighty, folks. Let's get down to business. Let me show you guys a quick rundown of what it looks like, and then we will talk about the mechanics, and we will talk about the acting part, the main tutorial of today's, well, tutorial. We don't need the whole deck, we're just gonna need 5 piles of 5, okay? So I'm not gonna show you guys the whole thing, we'll just fast forward. All right, so we got our 5 piles of 5, just right here, and we don't need the rest of the deck, it's just set aside for now. And so for this trick, you should have 5 spectators. If you don't, that is totally okay. I would recommend, however, having at least 4 and a maximum of 6. But you can have each spectator pick a pile and shuffle the pile before anyone looks at it. We do all this fun stuff, just like that. So we have our 5 shuffled piles. At this point, the spectator will grab their pile and memorize a single card from this, okay? Let's say they memorize the King of Clubs. And then they can shuffle it back together. And again, I won't be seeing any of this. So let's assume that we've done that to every pile, and we'll keep the King of Clubs in mind. So at this point, the spectators can actually tell you which piles to pick up, in what order, and you will match them all together. So let's say they say 2, 3, 1, 5, and 4, okay? So we sandwich those together. At this point, you will remake your 5 piles, and you will just deal until you are out. Alright, so we've redealt our piles. Now, we will reveal our piles like this, and we will all take a gander. Alright, here's our end product. This is what we have with our jumbled mess. Now, here's going to be how the trick looks to the spectator, okay? So I will ask the spectator, I'm going to try and read your mind, but I'm going to need a little bit of help just to narrow it down. I just need you to point to the pile that has your card in it. Don't tell me what your card is, just the pile. So they will point to this guy, because here's our King of Clubs. Now here's the twist. I'm going to reveal the method of what the trick is before we get into it. I snuck in Ace of Clubs, 2 of Clubs, 3 of Clubs, 4 of Clubs, and 5 of Clubs. I don't know if you can spot them all, but here's Ace of Clubs, 2 of Clubs, 3 of Clubs, 4 of Clubs, 5 of Clubs. If you'll notice, the Ace of Clubs is in the exact same position as the King of Clubs, which tells me that this is their card, okay? So let's reset this, and we will discuss again in depth about what just happened and what happens next. So for you guys that missed it, we were doing a mind reading, so this informs me that the King of Clubs was their card, and so I can infer, oh, there's the King of Clubs, and then I would do an acting impression of reading someone's mind, and that's kind of the trick. You just go around in a circle and guess everyone's card one by one. So that is the effect, and now let's go into the tutorial. You are not going to need a whole lot of prep. That's a nice thing about this trick. It is a crowd pleaser, it kills every time, and it's little setup. You're just going to need to grab 5 of a kind. It does not matter what they are. It could be Ace to 5 of hearts. It could be 7 to Jack and diamonds. It's really up to you. So just figure out what order you want to do. Ace to 5 is just really easy, and I just pick whatever the first suit is that pops up in my pile, in my deck. You are going to take those, and you're going to put that on top of the deck, okay? Here's the rest of our deck, but for the sake of the tutorial, we're just going to get rid of the half we already know we don't need. So, when you place these piles onto the table, we have successfully placed Ace, 2, 3, 4, 5 of Clubs. Okay, I'm just going to place the rest of the piles on top. Okay, so you would finish dealing everything out, and a very important tip for you is to ask them to shuffle the piles before they look at them. This ensures that if anyone accidentally peeks at someone else's, it's not super obvious that there is a pattern emerging, okay? So if they shuffle it, and then you take a look at this, it's a lot harder to be like making the connection that there's Ace and 2 of Clubs. It's just a little nice thing to add in if you want to help yourself out. Just a little extra. So at this point, everyone will have memorized a card from each pile. So from the first pile, so we can keep track, we're going to memorize the 10 of diamonds right here. So let's put this back, and then you will tell the spectators pick up the piles in whatever order you want. So we will do it like this, and then like this, and then like this, and then like this. Then you will just spread the piles out again. There's not a whole lot of tutorial here. You already saw the performance, and it is basically just the performance. That is your tutorial. So once we are done dealing out these piles and spreading them out, we'll be ready to begin our acting phase, okay? So far, we know 0 information out of 5 pieces of information. We don't know who memorized what. We don't know who shuffled what. Everything is just up in the air. We have 0 knowledge until we flip over these piles. We were memorizing the 10 of diamonds, and so therefore we know as the spectator, it's in this pile. Now, that was the first card in the first pile, and so we're going to refer to the first card, Ace of Clubs. So you'll notice the Ace of Clubs is right here, so your job is to find it. So here's Ace of Clubs, and I see this pile, because they pointed it out to me, and I will say that the Ace of Clubs is in the same position as the 10 of diamonds. And it'll be like that every single time. Let's see, the 2 of clubs is right here. Let's say their card was in this pile. That means that their card had to have been the first card in the sequence, the 3 of spades. The 3 of clubs is right here. And let's say they were thinking this pile. So therefore, their card had to have been the 10 of clubs. So that's the rundown of the card aspect. Now let's get into the acting aspect. Okay, guys. This is the acting section. This is going to be the tough section. The first thing that we're going to focus on today is energy and interaction. We want to focus on our spectators, make it engaging, and make sure that they're having a good time while we're performing. There should be lots of just conversation, just banter back and forth, just stuff to fill the time. This is not magic time. This is us time. Let's say you're running around. Sorry, I'm a little dark. I'm just stepping away from the light. But let's say you're doing the trick, and let's say someone's got their own pile, okay? So someone grabs a pile and is looking through like, oh yeah, so many choices. I don't even know what to do with myself. You're just gonna step in there and be like, make sure that it's a free choice. Feel really good about what your end product is. And once you got it, lock it in, start shuffling so I know that you're finished. So you're gonna look animated, man. Like you gotta be like moving around and like switching it up, talking to different people, looking this way, looking that way. That's what makes it so hard, is that it has to become a natural thing. It's hard to teach. You just kind of have to force yourself to act and like move around certain ways so that the audience will be like, this guy fun. I like hanging out with this guy. That's another good tip, is telling them start shuffling your pile when you're done, and that way I'll know, right? You get yourself a little indicator of who's doing what, where everyone's at. It's just a really nice, easy way to be like, okay, they're finished, and looks like Tiffany is as well. Energy is such a key component to magic. Can you imagine doing a magic trick to like getting a magic trick done by this guy? Yeah, just pick whatever card you want. Yeah, and just shuffle it when you're finished. I would literally scream. I would. That's not my idea of a good time. That sounds like garbage. I would be pissed. So make sure that you're just keeping your energy up, like uplifting people and like, keeping the party going, kind of. Another thing I really want to touch on for this video is creating doubt and creating pity. That sounds like a bad idea, I know, but I promise you, this trick works often. This is a good tip. I use it all the time. So going back to like our biddle trick tutorial, we were talking about convincing the audience, the believability, going back and forth between 2 piles. Is it the first one? Is it the bottom one? Really fitting the role that you made for yourself. You are a confused guy. You're a magician who doesn't know what he's doing. Maybe. I mean, you probably know. I would assume, because you're doing the trick. But to the audience, when a magician goes, I don't know, that's a tough choice. Maybe it's the top half, maybe it's the bottom half. I don't know. In the spectators' minds, they're like, oh, he may have messed up. Who knows? And then at the end of the trick, when you pull it off, it's even that much cooler, because earlier on, they just remember you struggling. Information is just kind of deleted after the trick. That's the cool thing about brains. When you're a magician, you can literally craft the way people remember your trick. Isn't that crazy? I bet you guys have never even heard of something like that before. If you start adding useless information as like a get out of jail free card, then they're just going to delete that information, sew what's in between, and it makes like a seamless trick. So a great example of this, is actually from Chris Ramsay's YouTube channel. He discusses a coin trick where you lap a coin. This was such an interesting idea. This is what really like kind of dove me headfirst into mentalism and like mind reading stuff, because this idea just intrigued me so much. So let's say you're doing this trick where you lap the coin in the second phase. So Chris is saying that when you take the coin the first time, put it in your hand for real. Then mess up on purpose and show the coin drop. Everyone has like a release of tension. They're like, they can have a minute to relax now. And without saying anything, you lap the coin and just keep going. Don't give them a second to breathe. When you do the trick now and you've lapped it, you show your hand empty and they're like, oh my God, what the hell? How'd you do that? When they tell their friends later, this is again, Chris saying this from his story. He said when other people will tell this story to their friends, they will completely delete the information about messing up the first time. They will tell people, they will start constructing images of what didn't really happen. So they'll tell their friends, he showed me the coin in his hand, then closed it, and then it disappeared. Even though we know as the magician, that is not how the true events unfolded. That's what I'm saying with my get out of jail free card. When you have something that's misdirection oriented or something that can release that tension for a sec, it helps the audience get distracted just for a second more. This concept has been really cool. I'm going to link Chris's video in the link down below. I just think it's so fascinating. So go ahead and check that out. He will definitely explain it more in depth and with a lot more, kind of more like a jam session where he's like coming up with ideas as he goes. And anyway, just a really cool thing to think about. So again, just that playing on that role of the confusion, the whatever role you have for yourself. I just find it super helpful to have my role be a regular guy just like everyone else. When you come up into a show and you start doing the worm and, you know, punching paparazzi and doing springs, everyone's just like, this guy's so much cooler than me, and it kind of makes me feel ick on the inside. So when I walk into a room and I'm just being myself, and then they find out I'm a magician, and then I'm like, oh, I don't know, top half, bottom half? Their first thought is, man, this guy's just like me. How is he doing this? Kind of makes that like impossibility scale twice as much, but also more relatable. The audience can be like, this is just a regular dude. We could be best friends, me and this guy. It works for me. I think it works a treat. So if you guys want to give that a shot, be my guest. Acting is the single hardest thing about doing magic. And I say that knowing that there's stuff out there like the diagonal palm shift, knowing that there's stuff out there like the laser deal, stuff like the classic pass, the perfect classic pass. There's some really tough stuff out there. It's hard to learn very specific things. And it's even harder to learn a lot of those very specific things. It's a time-consuming project, but you just keep at it. But acting, I say, is the hardest because no one talks about it. No one. And I've never found this. If you are a magician and you've talked about the role-playing aspect of being a magician, hit me up. I'm looking. I'm trying to see if I'm alone in this world. I just think it's so wild that this topic is never or rarely discussed. This is such a crucial part of being a magician. The energy, the acting, the being there with your fans, with your spectators. You have to just live in the moment. I say that so much on this channel, but that's because it's so true. Don't hold yourself back. Just be who you want to be. Try out the style that you want to try out. Don't let people stop you. Just do what you want to do. Advance to whatever level you want. Some people are going to hate my season 5 because they're just like, I wanted to learn a single trick to impress my uncle. They don't need this whole umbrella of stuff. But those of you that are serious about this, that want to dive headfirst into being a magician and embracing that lifestyle, and oh yeah, it's a lifestyle. Just try new things, figure out who you are as a magician and how that applies into your act. For this trick in specific, I think the hardest time that you guys are going to have with the acting piece is the mind reading. I bet you guys were all wondering, like, is he going to cover it or is he going to blue ball us again? This is my best advice for people that are pretending to read minds for the first couple of times, that are just like not used to it. This is a great tip. Act like you're trying to solve the hardest math equation in the universe. You're the only one who can solve it. This is your Excalibur to your Arthur. Okay. Oh, ain't no way you getting this, baby. I'm gonna bet you're thinking of a black card. Okay. Yeah, that's what's up, that's what's up, that's what's up. You don't have to be that guy, just act it out, but do something. It's just so much fun being like, ooh, okay, is it, I'm gonna guess a black card. So there's some physical stuff that you can do too to read minds, right? So you can grab someone's arm, make them point down, and hold their pulse. And you can read it along back and forth on the 5 cards until you stop on the one that you know to be theirs. You'll say your pulse is skyrocketing on this card. I'm like, oh, what? Really? You're like, yeah, I think you're dying. So you're gonna put their hand on the card and be like, literally no freaking way, dude. How do you even do that? Because we perform for a lot of Gen Zs. Some other physical stuff that you can do is hold out their hands like this, right? And then kind of weigh the options. Be like, are you right-handed or left-handed? All right, I thought so. I think because of that, like the way that you oriented the cards and shuffled it, I think you're thinking of the King of Clubs. You're gonna lose their freaking minds. Just think about, like, if you were the spectator, what would make you believe this guy's legitimately reading your mind? Yeah, okay, look at me. I want you to picture the card that you're thinking of. Just repeat it, the information over and over, the color, the size, you know, feminine or masculine, the number, whatever it may be. I want you to just think about it. That's pretty good, right? But now let's add a layer on top of that. Let's start adding sprinkles of information that we already know. So let's say, oh, I know they're thinking of the 8 of diamonds, okay? So now you're gonna walk up and be like, hey, I want you to look at me real quick. Okay, picture the card that you picked earlier. Just review the information over and over again in your head. Black or red. Think about the color, the brightness, the size, the number. Is it? It is a number, isn't it? Sprinkling in some info. Now they're like, whoa, how'd you do that? And you're like, before you freak out, let me just finish this. I think I'm gonna take a guess here. Did you pick the 8 of diamonds? I don't remember what the card was that I said we were working with, but we're just gonna assume it's 8 of diamonds. Is it the 8 of diamonds? And they're gonna be like, no way! I'm gonna literally piss myself. Fun fact, someone actually said that at one of my shows. A little tidbit there. But yeah, take these and apply them as much as you can. Learn about human behavior, learn about anatomy and things like that. It honestly really helps. The more you do it, the more you just know how to read people. I know it feels extremely awkward. Like, I don't know, there's a couple of girls like walking down the hallway at the mall, and they're all like at the hip walking together, right? And it's a weird thing to like go interrupt this mall date and be like, hi, you want to see a magic trick? Hi. Because you don't want to be the guy that interrupts their mall date. It's no bueno. No one's going to dig that. You got to find the sweet in between. All right, folks. That is Ace to 5 mentalism. Pretty snazzy. I hope you guys like that trick. I hope you guys get your practice in. Hope you guys absolutely demolish some brains out there. Go ahead, film yourself doing this trick and send it to me. I would love to see you guys destroy an audience. No, but I would love to see you guys shine and see what kind of practical uses you get out of this channel. I've had people send me films and clips of them doing magic. Couldn't be more proud of you guys. You guys are awesome. Otherwise, stay fresh, practice magic, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace out.